Hello, learners, and welcome to another episode of Study Science with the Public School Robotic Educator. You are all welcome to my class, my virtual class. I'm so super excited to see that you're joining another episode of my virtual class. Once again, you are all welcome, and this promises to be another exciting moment with Study Science with the Public School Robotic Educator. Have you ever imagined what would look like if we don't have bones in our body to give us shape and rigidity? I am sure you have different opinions of what it will look like. Drop your options, your opinions in the comment section. So let's see what we'll be having or what we'll be studying today in the science topic, and which is the human skeletal system. I'm sure this is not the first time you're hearing about the human skeletal system. So let's look into, but before we do, let's look at our learning objectives. So by the end of this lesson, students will be able to, one, define the skeletal system. Two, so let's see what our second learning objective is. You're going to be able to state and explain types of skeleton. And number three, you're able to state the functions of skeleton. So let's dive right into the topic of today and see what you'll be learning today from the topic, the human skeletal system. So, what is skeleton? Have you ever imagined that? So let's see what a skeleton is from today's class. So let's look at the definition of a skeleton and let's see what it is. Are you ready? Let's go. The framework that supports the soft tissues of vertebrate animals and protect many internal organs. Note, not only vertebrates have bones. So let's look at what are vertebrates, because that's a key term in this skeleton system. So they are animals with backbones, also called vertebral column or spinal cord. Yes, all animals that have backbones, and we are examples. So let's look at human being are examples, of vertebrates. So let's look at some examples of vertebrates in this class. Number one is dog. You all agree with me that a dog has a backbone. Yes, a dog is a vertebrate. Cow, even the ram, sheep, bird. These are all examples of vertebrates because they are all animals that have backbone. Remember, I also mentioned that human being also is a vertebrate because we have a backbone which allows us to stand upright. Can you touch your backbone? Now, let's look at what are invertebrates. These are animals without a backbone, or what we call the spinal cord or vertebral column. Examples are the insect, the crab, starfish, earthworm, among others. So, let's look at the pictorial examples of invertebrates. It will be coming up right now. Cockroach. Can you see? Does a cockroach have a backbone? Have you ever seen any cockroach with backbone? Starfish. You all know what a starfish is. It doesn't have any bone. Octopus also does not have a backbone. We have others like ants, the beetles, the dragonflies. So, can you imagine more examples of vertebrates and invertebrates and drop them in the comment section? So let's continue with the topic of today, which is the skeletal system. So let's look at the definition of the skeletal system. The skeletal system provides the body main structural framework that gives shape and allowing for standing upright. It is the skeletal system. If you look at it from the beginning of the video, you will see that the human skeleton that was in the video was standing upright. Now let's look at the division of the skeletal system. Now this skeletal system is divided into two parts and we'll be looking at them. Now, before it comes up, it is the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. So we'll be looking at the different examples of the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. But just know that this human skeletal system is divided into the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. Now, in this picture, the part of the skeletal system you're seeing now that comes up in the yellow color are the axial skeleton, while the green color in this image are the appendicular skeleton. So you can see I have differentiated them using colors for easy identification. Now let's look at what is axial skeleton. It is the central part of the skeletal system comprising of approximately 80 bones in the human body. So the axial skeleton comprises of 80 bones in the human body. Now let's look at the examples of the axial skeleton in the human body. Now, the first one is the skull, our human skull. Yes, our skull is one of the examples of the exoskeleton. Now, our vertebral column, which is our backbone or spinal cord. Now, the rib cage, yes, that houses our heart and our lungs, is also an example of the exoskeleton. Now we have a special bone that helps to support our tongue. You know our tongue. If you look at your tongue, it does not have any bone. Are you wondering that you are not surprised that the tongue is able to go up and go down? There's a special bone that actually supports the tongue, and that's why you can see that the tongue can actually make different movements inside the mouth. Shortly, that bone is called the hide bone. The hide bone. So now that is what a skull looks like. Now let's continue in the class. Let's look at the functions of some of the exoskeleton that I mentioned in the previous slide. Now let's take them one after. Now the skull includes the cranium, protecting the brain and the facial bone. You know, if you touch, now I need you to, as you're listening, just touch your face and you can feel all your facial bone. Another one is the vertebral column, which is our spinal cord. And what are in the spinal cord? We have the sacrum, the lumbar, the thoracic. This all makes up this vertebral column. Now the rib cage, which is composed of the ribs and the sternum and our breastbone, protecting our heart and our lungs. So those are then the hypod bone is a small U-shaped bone in the neck that supports the tongue. You know, I said that in the previous slide. Now let's go to the appendicular skeleton and let's know what that means and what it comprises of 126 bones that makes up the limbs, the pectoral, the pelvic girdle, the that connects the hind limbs and the forelimbs. Now let's look at the examples of appendicular skeleton. Now you can see from the image we have the hip bone, which is our pelvic girdle. We have our leg bone, is also part of the appendicular skeleton. We have the shoulder bone, it will come up shortly. We have shoulder bone. We have the arm bone. Yes, like I said, the leg bone, the hip bone. We have the shoulder bone. Like I said before, we have the arm bone. Arm, that is our hand. So let me use the literary term so you can understand. Yes, as you can see, it's pointing at the shoulder of the skeleton. Then we have the feet bone, which makes up which forms part of our leg. Then we have the arm, which forms part of our hand. All this that you are seeing on the screen makes up the appendicular skeleton, and we'll be looking at what they do, the functions of appendicular skeleton shortly. So let's look at the functions. Number one, mobility and locomotion. So you can see it is our appendicular skeleton that allows us to move from one place to another, like walking, running, jumping. It has to do with our appendicular skeleton. Now let's look at number two function. Weight. Can you see weight bearing? That is, you can see that all the weight of our body from our skull to our hip falls on our leg. So it helps us to carry the weight of our body. Now, manipulation of tools using the upper, that is our limb, that is our hand. We are able to manipulate and take tools and work with them because of this appendicular skeleton. Now, let's move forward. Protection. You can see, why not the primary function? Appendicular skeleton also provides some degree of protection to certain organs of our body. Now, let's look at types of skeleton. Number one, the endoskeleton. Two, exoskeleton. And the third one is the hydroskeleton. So we'll be looking at what this means one after the other. The first one is endo. For the word endo means inside. Now, these are skeletons that cannot be seen. They are covered with the flesh or hair of many animals. See, they are found inside vertebrates and invertebrates. So examples of endoskeleton, like I said, dog. You cannot see the bone of dog. It is covered by the flesh and the fur of that dog, except when it is killed. That is when the bone can be exposed. Human, our bone is covered by our flesh. Our bones is covered by our flesh. You cannot see your bone except when you open up your flesh. The third example I have here is bird. Now you cannot see the bone of the bird. Like I said, it is covered by the feathers. You cannot see it. So those are the three examples. Let's move forward. Let's look at exo. From the word exo, it means outside. Skeletons that are outside the body. Now, these skeletons are visible. You can see them. Yes, you can see them. And most especially, they are typically made of chitin. Yes, chitin. Yes. And let's look at the examples of this exoskeleton. Number one is beetle. You are agreeing with me, you can see the skeleton of beetle. Yes, you can see it. I'm going to mention another example, which is, let's look at our crab. As you can see, that is animating. You can see, before you eat the crab, you need to open up the bone to be able to get the flesh inside, for those that are crab lovers. Now, another one you are seeing here is ants. Yes, you can see the skeleton of all these animals that are mentioned. Drop more examples in the comment section. Now, let's look at hydroskeleton. From the word hydro, means liquid, fluid. These are animals that have fluid as their skeleton, also known as hydrostatic skeleton. They rely on the incompressibility of fluids to provide support and facilitate movement. Now, let's look at some of the examples. Maggots. Yes, maggots. We have maggots. We have earthworm. We have maggots. Then another example is the caterpillars. The caterpillars, even as starfish, as hydroskeleton, octopus. Just think of them, snails. I want you to drop more examples of all those hydroskeleton in the comment sections. All these are Their skeleton are made up of fluids, or what we know as liquid. Now, let's look at functions of skeleton. What are the functions of skeleton? Number one is protection. It protects the internal organs of the body. It supports movement. It supports the weight of the body. Yes, it allows us to move from one place to another. It produces blood cells production. Yes, endocrine regulation and mineral storage. So we're going to be looking at them one after the other. Number one, now let's look at support. How does your skeleton support you? Let's look at it together. The skeleton provides a rigid framework that supports the body weight and give it shape. So if not for the skeleton, we will not have shape. We will just be like amoeba without shape. Now, movement. Now, let's look at movement. Like I said, bones act as levers for muscles to pull on, allowing for a wide range of movement. That's why we can move from one place to another in search of food, protection, shelters, and so on and so forth. Now, next, another one here is protection. Bone shields delicate internal organs from injury. For example, the skull protects the brain, the rib cage protects our heart and our lungs. Now, let's look at blood cell production. Bone marrow found within the certain bone is the site where red blood cells and white blood cells and platelets are produced in our body. Let's look at the next function, mineral storage. Now let's see how the skeleton supports mineral storage. Bones are stored essential minerals like calcium and phosphorus, which are released into the bloodstream. Can you see? Calcium and phosphorus are examples. Now let's look at endocrine regulation. How does skeleton supports that? Let's see. Bone tissues can release hormones that regulate blood sugar level and other bodily functions. Can you see that? After watching this video, you should be able to do this assignment. Define skeleton in a tabular form. Explain axial and appendicular skeleton. List and explain types of skeleton. Till I see you in another class. Bye for now. See you next.